Recently, Donald Trump publicly expressed his frustration towards Russian President Vladimir Putin. He criticized Russia and even threatened to support Ukraine. This clearly reflected Trump's disappointment with Putin. We know that Trump's Alaska summit with Putin had proven to be a failure. There was no progress on the ground. The war continued as it was. Nothing had changed. Trump was growing frustrated with this. At this point, Ukraine saw an opportunity to gain support from Trump. It felt that Trump's anger towards Russia could turn out to be beneficial for Ukraine. Who knows, Trump might take a decision in Ukraine's favor in the heat of the moment? So with the intention of taking advantage of this opportunity, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy arrived at the White House to meet Trump. This was Zelenskyy's third meeting with Trump at the White House since Trump's return to power. Zelenskyy had high hopes of getting help from Trump, but nothing of that sort happened. The meeting turned out to be a complete failure. Ukraine could not achieve anything from it. From Ukraine's perspective, this meeting can be called a disaster. Despite all efforts, Zelenskyy was unable to secure any tangible outcome for his country from this meeting. Zelenskyy had come to meet Trump with the hope that he would receive long-range tomahawk missiles from the US, which would enable Ukraine to strike deep inside Russian territory. In exchange for the tomahawk missiles, he even offered to trade Ukrainian-made drones. But Trump did not appear interested in this. Just a few days earlier, without much thought, Trump had warned Russia, saying that if it did not end the war soon, America would deliver tomahawk missiles to Ukraine through NATO. As soon as this was announced, a wave of happiness spread in Ukraine, while a strong response came from Russia. Russia told the US that its tomahawk missiles would not change much on the battlefield, but warned that doing so would certainly worsen relations between Russia and America. After Trump's subsequent discussions with his team, the conclusion that emerged was that Trump decided not to give tomahawk missiles to Ukraine for now. Zelenskyy had to return empty-handed. After a phone call with Putin, Trump seemed more interested in solving the war diplomatically rather than providing additional military aid to Ukraine. And everyone knows that by diplomatic solution, it is meant that Trump would push Ukraine to cede its territory to Russia. So clearly, the recent diplomatic gains for Ukraine appear to be evaporating. Ukrainians felt America's changed stance as a form of betrayal. Leave aside supporting it, Trump kept continuously pushing Ukraine to give major concessions to Russia to end the war, for which Zelenskyy is not at all prepared. In a way, Trump appeared to be speaking entirely in Russia's language. He pressured Ukraine to accept Russia's demands, to accept Russia's control over the Donbas region. He also threatened that if you do not do so, your destruction at the hands of Russia is certain, etc. Throughout the meeting, Trump pushed Ukraine quite aggressively. However, Zelenskyy totally rejected the idea of giving Russia any kind of territorial concessions. Ukraine was quite disappointed that Trump had flip-flopped again, because just a few days earlier, he had been talking about supporting Ukraine. But then suddenly a phone call with Vladimir Putin happened. A meeting between Putin and Trump was fixed in Hungary, and suddenly Trump flipped. He began to speak in favor of Russia. So remember that the only thing certain with Trump is that nothing is certain. A little ego massage, a few favors, and Trump's stance changes in a moment. From "I will give missiles to Ukraine" to "Ukraine can be cut up," Trump switches like that. Trump wants the war to end with the battlefield positions as they are now, meaning whatever part of Ukraine Russia has occupied should now be accepted as Russia's. He is saying that Russia has won this territory. Now Ukraine should make a ceasefire deal by giving it to Russia, for which Ukraine is obviously not prepared. Ukraine is not willing to surrender. It is fighting Russia with all its strength. It is targeting Russia's critical assets so that it becomes difficult for Russia to fund the war. Overall, Ukraine is making every possible effort to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Because of being abandoned by America, Ukraine is turning toward European countries. To sustain its war, Ukraine is relying on help from European allies. Because of Trump's America First stance, there has been a gap in support for Ukraine, and that gap is being filled by European countries. They are attempting to provide Ukraine with financial aid and military training, as well as to impose as many sanctions as possible on Russia. They want to help Ukraine with profits derived from Russia's frozen assets. European countries are worried that Donald Trump might sideline Ukraine at the Hungary summit and reward Russian aggression. Trump's entire focus is on a quick resolution, in any way just to end the war quickly and take the credit. For this, he is putting pressure on Ukraine to accept the losses suffered so far in the war. Ukraine and its European allies are very disappointed with Trump's pro-Russia tilt. They are paying a heavy price for over-relying on a volatile partner like the US. However, seeing America's unreliability, European countries are now stepping up and deepening cooperation among themselves. For now, the Russia-Ukraine war is not stopping. Both sides are trying to inflict as much damage on each other as possible. Recently, Ukraine targeted Russia's energy assets, while Russia damaged Ukraine's port and railway infrastructure. Both sides are striking at each other's economies, trying to cut vital links and targeting critical infrastructure. The risk of the war spreading is also increasing. Recently, signs of escalation were seen in Central Asia when Ukrainian drones attacked a Russian gas processing facility, after which disruptions were observed in Kazakhstan's energy sector. Russia's Orenburg gas processing plant, which is one of the largest in the world, had to suspend gas supplies to Kazakhstan following Ukraine's attack. So as you can see, with the escalation of the war, even neutral third parties have started getting directly affected. If no deal comes out of the Trump-Putin-Hungary summit, gradually more countries will begin to experience disruptions.